everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Wehry Weekly History and Entertainment News. COVID-19 rules and regulations are changing throughout the state, and they are very complicated. So on this week's episode, I'll be clearing up any confusion about the changes. Plus, even in this very difficult time, I'll be mentioning how one can still get out and about safely. First, it's time for this week's trivia question, which will be answered at the end of the movie segment. This week's question is, which directors of the 2016 movie Nerve earlier made a film whose title is now part of the Merriam-Webster Dictionary? Now, for this week's local entertainment headlines. With cases in Massachusetts slowly on the rise, the state is now taking a precautionary step to prevent a dramatic increase in COVID. There are 4 new orders by Governor Charlie Baker in place that were issued on Friday, November 6th. 1. All residents of Massachusetts are advised to stay home between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. This does not include essential work or travel, but you must have documentation stating that you are an essential worker at all times. 2. All restaurants, indoor and outdoor facilities must close at 9:30 p.m. and may not reopen until 5 a.m. However, restaurants can continue to provide takeout food and delivery and can serve non-alcoholic beverages. 3. It is now mandatory to wear face masks at all times in public for anyone ages 5 and older. Governor Baker is also encouraging, but not mandating, children between the ages of 2 and 5 to wear them as well. For those who cannot wear a mask due to medical exceptions, you must provide documentation as to why you cannot wear one. 4. Gatherings are now limited to the following: 10 people indoors and 25 outdoors for private gatherings, and 25 people indoors at public gatherings. Outdoor public gatherings are a little more complex. In high-risk communities, it is 50 people, and in low-risk communities, it is 100 people. Information on COVID-19 rules and regulations are always changing, so make sure to visit mass.gov and keep watching WWHEN for any COVID-related questions. 2 city theaters recently received $1 million gifts in honor of a longtime theater patron. The family of Mary Ann Gross, who passed away last December, donated the money to support payroll and basic operating expenses for the Barrington Stage Company and Berkshire Theater Group. This will be used to ensure that there are no furloughs or layoffs while the theaters continue to raise funds in support of future artistic programming. Both theater companies expressed their gratitude to the Gross family. Julianne Boyd of Barrington Stage Company said, quote, "We are extremely thankful to the Gross family for recognizing the importance of the arts in this extremely difficult time for all artists and theater companies." While Kate McGuire from the Berkshire Theater Group added, quote, "The arts are critical to the vitality and quality of life. This gift recognizes the economic, educational, and cultural importance of all that theater brings to our community," end quote. When asked about the gift, Miss Gross's daughter, Mary Bassman, stated, quote, "We wanted to do something that could make a difference in the community, and that would be a wonderful and fitting tribute to our mother's memory." My mom loved the theater, end quote. It is not sure when the theaters are going to have full productions again, but whenever that happens, the Gross's family gift will be well appreciated. Every year, Park Square in Pittsfield kicks off the Christmas season with the lighting of a Christmas tree. Pittsfield Park Square has been around since the early 19th century, and for over 100 years has been the home of the Christmas lighting. Usually, the festive frolic brings hundreds of people to Park Square. Pittsfield and Taconic High School bands and choirs perform. There is hot chocolate available for the crowd, and children can see Santa Claus and start to make their wishes. Also, many businesses tend to hold events at the same time, especially on North Street. For instance, Berkshire Paint and Sip usually has painting classes regarding winter themes. The Beacon sometimes plays a Christmas-related movie. Last year it was A Christmas Story. And the Berkshire Theater Group holds productions of A Christmas Carol. One year they were able to get famed musician James Taylor in the show. Obviously, COVID-19 has changed everything we know about the Christmas holiday, and festive frolic is no exception. With COVID-19 cases rising, and a couple of businesses on North Street facing problems with COVID, many of them will not be open to the public. However, the city is still looking for Christmas trees for the unveiling, which may or may not be held virtually. The city has not made a decision yet. Trees must be at least 30 feet tall, in superior shape, and accessible for cutting and transportation. Those interested should contact Becky Manship, Pittsfield's Recreation and Special Events Coordinator, at 413-499-9371 or via email at parks@cityofpittsfield.org. Calling all young, curious explorers. The Berkshire Museum is offering adventures full of mysteries, stories, art, and games from cultures across the globe, past and present. The Berkshire Museum Curiosity Squad Camp at Home is a virtual art and history camp for children entering grades 1 and 2. This is for those students who are choosing to do at-home learning instead of attending schools in person. The Camp at Home kit includes 5 days of activities designed to educate and entertain children, printed worksheets and activity sheets, video lessons, drop-in hangout sessions with fellow explorers, and live experiment helpline hours, plus the opportunity to solve and complete experiments that uncover histories and cultures. This event will be taking place every Monday in November from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So for the students, this is like their regular school day. If you still have questions, make sure to visit the Berkshire Museum's website for more information. This week marks the final week for shopping at the Berkshire Farmers Market in Lanesboro. I've had the opportunity to talk about this market in the past. I even went on location to film there earlier this year. The last chance to shop at this market will be November 21st, Saturday, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Gloves and masks are required, and people must stay 6 feet apart. Additionally, there are no online purchases. It is in-person shopping only. In a little bit on this episode, I'll be discussing some of the apple orchards that sell at this farmer's market. It's now time for a new segment titled RT's Favorite Films. On this segment, I'll be mentioning what some of my favorite movies are, both well-known and obscure. This week's movie is one that is based off of a young adult novel, but isn't as well known as ones such as Harry Potter, Twilight, and The Hunger Games. Still, it's one you should seek out. 2016's Nerve. This movie is based off of a book by Jean Ryan. Nerve was by far her biggest hit. It was originally written in 2012 and was a New York Times bestseller, which was good enough to start the creation of this movie. Nerve is a dramatic thriller that deals with high school senior V. Despite having a good amount of friends, she faces questions and teasing, though never outright mean, about her self-confidence issues. Towards the end of her senior year, a good amount of her friends are playing the online game Nerve, exclusively for teenagers. In this game, there are watchers and players. Players do dares that the watchers suggest, and they receive higher monetary rewards for each dare completed. There are 3 rules to this game. 1. All dares must be filmed. 2. If you fail or bail, you're eliminated. And 3, and most importantly, don't tell any adults what you're doing. V faces pressure into doing this, but eventually signs up to be a player. Everything is innocent at first. Kiss a stranger, visit New York City. But then the dares become more dangerous. Along with a handsome stranger named Ian, who might not be as innocent as he seems, V must figure out a way to survive Nerve without losing her friends or her life in the process. This movie was a success at the box office, earning a robust $38,583,000 against only a $19 million budget. Several bigger movies in 2016 failed to double their budget, but this smaller movie did. Nerve proves that the best movies don't need to be big budget spectacles. So why do I love this movie? I feel this is a great description of how teenagers act when they are on social media. We live in a society full of TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and so on, and all their challenges. This movie tells how these challenges affect our social status very well, but also shows the dangers of when these challenges go too far. Additionally, I love a movie that's set in New York City. Nerve makes great use of the city at night. The performances are excellent too. Emma Roberts shows great character development as V, as we see her truly grow into her shell. Additionally, Dave Franco is very charming as the love interest Ian. He plays him innocent at first, but as more is revealed, he really sells what Ian has been hiding. Also, this movie handled the romance very well. In some movies, the romance comes along as forced, but not here. You felt like romance was inevitable, so you just went with it. Plus, the actors sold it extremely well. Make sure to stick around for the closing credits, too. They're some of the most creative ones I've seen in a while. Nerve is available for streaming on Netflix and Fox Movies On Demand. This movie also provides the answer to this week's trivia question. As a reminder, this week's question was, which directors of the 2016 movie Nerve earlier made a film whose title is now part of the Merriam-Webster Dictionary? The answer is Henry Joost and Ariel Schumann. Before they directed Nerve, in 2010, they directed a documentary titled Catfish, which focuses on Ariel's brother Neve. In this movie, Neve has fallen in love with a girl he met online. He takes his brother Ariel and his friend Henry on this journey, but not everything is what it seems. This movie became a hit on the festival circuit, and created a popular MTV reality television series of the same name. Catfishing is now a word. What it means is pretending to be someone you're not online in a relationship. Even though Nerve doesn't deal with catfishing directly, Ian is not the innocent man that he claims to be. In lieu of a history segment this week, we are going to be taking some road trips in the state. Last week, I discussed how going to a New York road trip is a bad idea. However, there's nothing wrong with in-state road trips. Our first stop is apple picking in the Berkshires. There are several locations in Berkshire County to do this. Bartlett's Apple Orchard at 575 Swamp Road in Richmond is a family-operated orchard which also offers an abundance of products in their farm store, including freshly made cider donuts, cinnamon buns, hot cider, coffee, and more. 4 generations of the Bartlett family have been growing, packing, and shipping apples for 70 years. Also in Richmond, this time located at 508 Cannon Road, Route 295, is Hilltop Orchard. Voted one of the top 5 places in Massachusetts for picking your own apples, their secluded location offers beautiful views of the Berkshire Hills, wine tasting, and 26 different varieties of apples to choose from. I've mentioned Yeski's Orchard in past episodes because they've sold at many of the farmers markets in the Berkshires, including the one in Lanesboro. They are located at 23 Gould Road in Adams and have been owned by the Yeski's family since 1881. They produce some of the finest apples in the region and feature select apples that can only be found in the Berkshires. Products in their store range from pumpkins and plants to jams and pies to their famous sweet apple cider and fresh cider donuts. Lakeview Orchard at 94 Old Cheshire Road in Lanesboro overlooks Hoosick Lake and offers much beyond apple picking. They also sell foreign foods such as pierogies, gnocchi, and baked beans from Europe. This amazing variety is not found at most of the other orchards. Finally, Windy Hill Farm on 686 Stockbridge Road in Great Barrington is one of the youngest apple orchards in the Berkshires, having only been established in 1980. Despite that, they still have a wide range of apples and even have a nursery and garden store. Hours on all of these apple orchards vary, as well as rules about social distancing, wearing masks, and more. If you have any questions or concerns, visit the website shown here for more information. This website contains many links to these and other apple orchards. Our other stop on our road trip this week is Franklin County, Mass, located to the northeast of Berkshire County, for a cider trip. They just finished up their Cider Days event, a popular week-long celebration of the cider beverage. First, a history of cider and Cider Days. The hard cider tradition of the Franklin County Hills began in the 19th century, but it declined at the beginning of the 20th. However, Franklin County was always a leader of cider production. The idea for the original Cider Day was hatched in 1994. Author Paul Correnti had written a book entitled The Art of Cider Making. His intimate delivery comes across in his writing style, but he was by no means a photographer. Brewer's publication knew of famed photographer Charlie Olaski's photojournalistic skills and location in New England apple country, and engaged him to provide images for the book. When the book was released, a simple book signing seemed too ordinary, so Charlie and Paul came up with the idea of a tour around some of the orchards featured in the book. It has been going on every year since. Ciderfest brings together those inspired by the apple, its cider, and its past. They are all part of the cider-making family, sharing the ingrained New England habit of celebrating the apple. There were a total of 16 locations on this year's cider trail, as seen on this map. They were Artifact Cider Project in Florence, Artisan Beverage Co-op in Greenfield, Bear Swamp Orchard in Ashfield, Beaver Pond Distillery in Petersham, the Berkshire Cider Project located here in North Adams, Carr's Cider House in Hadley, Clarkdale Fruit Farms in Deerfield, Headwater Cider in Hawley, New Salem Cider in New Salem, Phoenix Fruit Farm in Belchertown, Pine Hill Orchards in Coleraine, Ragged Hill in West Brookfield, Ryan and Casey Liquors in Greenfield, Shelburne Falls Cork at Shelburne Falls, Stan's Liquor Market in Athol, and West County Cider in Selburne. All of these have unique histories to them and are a great escape for those tired of sticking around at home. Hours, rules and regulations, and locations vary. At all of these locations, wear masks, gloves, and stay 6 feet apart. You also cannot drink cider on the premises. You have to wait until you are home. There are more than 40 different cider vendors in Franklin County, some of which I did not mention. Visit ciderdays.org/venues for more information on all venues and times of availability. That ends this week's episode of Wehry Weekly History and Entertainment News. You can watch this week's episode on channel 1301 of PCTV, CTSB TV, and NBC-TC. Airtimes on all 3 of these networks vary. Visit the websites shown here for more information. Also, if you would like to see the episodes in HD quality, make sure to check out my YouTube page at RT Wehry. Thank you.